Nintendo Virtual Boy, 1995 to 1996. The Nintendo Virtual Boy is considered one of the most famous short-lived consoles in gaming history. It was launched in 1995 and discontinued by Nintendo within just 1 year. The company's vision was to give players an immersive 3D gaming experience without the need for special glasses. However, the practical execution was very weak. The console only used red and black colors, which were extremely uncomfortable for the eyes. Long play sessions caused headaches, dizziness, and nausea. Additionally, the Virtual Boy wasn't portable, while the Game Boy was already at the peak of its popularity. Players had to lean over a table to play, which was ergonomically awkward. The game library was also very limited. Just over 20 games were released. Poor sales and negative feedback led Nintendo to end production and support in 1996. Sega Dreamcast, 1999 to 2001. Despite being a high-quality console, the Sega Dreamcast had a relatively short lifespan. It was officially discontinued after only 2 years. Released worldwide in 1999, the Dreamcast featured a built-in modem that supported online gaming, something almost unheard of at the time. The console was ahead of its time, and games like Shenmue, Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, and Soul Calibur achieved cult status. However, the launch of Sony's PlayStation 2 nearly destroyed Dreamcast's momentum. The PlayStation 2 offered DVD playback and strong third-party support, making it extremely appealing to consumers. Combined with Sega's financial troubles, the company decided to exit the hardware market. The Dreamcast marked the end of Sega's console business. Gizmondo, 2005 to 2006. The Gizmondo handheld is considered the shortest-lived console in gaming history. Launched by Tiger Telematics in 2005, it disappeared from the market by 2006. The company intended it to compete with the PSP and Nintendo DS. The device featured GPS, a camera, MP3 playback, and messaging, advanced features for its time. However, the gaming experience was weak, with both quantity and quality of games being disappointing. On top of that, the console was very expensive, making it hard to justify for consumers. Worldwide sales reportedly totaled fewer than 25,000 units. Internal scandals, legal issues, and poor management worsened the situation. Ultimately, Tiger Telematics went bankrupt, and the Gizmondo became a failed experiment in gaming history. Hyperscan, 2006 to 2007. The Hyperscan was an experimental console by Mattel, launched in 2006 and discontinued in less than a year. Its main attraction was RFID cards that unlocked characters and abilities when scanned. Mattel marketed it as a kid-focused gaming system, using popular franchises like Marvel, X-Men, and Ben 10 to attract attention. However, the console's hardware was outdated, with graphics weaker than previous generation consoles. Gameplay was repetitive and didn't provide long-term engagement. Hardcore gamers ignored it, and it failed to capture the casual audience. Sales were disappointing, and Mattel quietly discontinued Hyperscan in 2007. This console shows that gimmicks alone cannot sustain a platform without strong gameplay. Arcadia 2001, 1982 to 1984. The Arcadia 2001 was a lesser-known console from the early video game Crash era. Emerson Radio released it in 1982, and it was discontinued after about 18 months. Its goal was to compete with popular consoles like the Atari 2600. Technically, the system was decent, and cartridges were interchangeable, but the market was already overcrowded. Arcadia 2001 had no strong exclusive titles to attract players, and most games were basic arcade style that offered nothing new to Atari users. Retail presence was weak, and marketing was almost non-existent. After the 1984 video game Crash, the Arcadia 2001 disappeared completely. Today, it is only remembered by gaming collectors. Super Akan, 1995 to 1996. The Super Akan was a console by Taiwan-based company Funtech, released in 1995 and failed within a year. Hardware-wise, it was similar to the Sega Genesis, but market conditions were completely unfavorable. The PlayStation, SNES, and upcoming Nintendo 64 already dominated the market. The biggest issue was software support. Only 6 games were officially released. The console had no international presence, resulting in extremely low sales. Developer interest was zero because the platform's future was uncertain. In April 1996, the company stopped production and the Super Akan quietly vanished from the market. Today, it is considered a rare and obscure console. Atari Jaguar, 1993 to 1996. The Atari Jaguar was marketed aggressively as the world's first 64-bit console, aiming to position itself ahead of competitors like the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. It launched in 1993 with high expectations, but its lifespan lasted only until 1996, giving it around 3 years on the market. While the claim of being a 64-bit system sounded impressive, the console's architecture was extremely complex, combining multiple processors that were difficult for developers to optimize. As a result, many developers struggled to create games that fully utilized its potential, leading to a limited library of high-quality titles. Third-party support was scarce, as many publishers were hesitant to invest in a system with confusing hardware and uncertain sales prospects. Atari's marketing efforts added to the problem. They failed to clearly define who the console was for, leaving consumers unsure whether it was targeted at hardcore gamers or casual audiences. This confusion, combined with rising competition from the Sega Genesis. Despite these challenges, a few standout games did emerge, such as Alien vs. Predator, Tempest 2000, and Rayman. These titles were critically praised and are still remembered fondly by collectors and retro gamers today. However, they weren't enough to save the console. Poor sales, weak marketing, and stiff competition forced Atari to exit the hardware market permanently. The Jaguar thus became Atari's last console. Philips CDI, 1991 to 1996. Technically, the Philips CDI Compact Disc Interactive was designed as a multimedia device rather than a traditional gaming console, but it was often marketed and promoted as a gaming platform. From a gaming perspective, its lifespan was relatively weak. The system launched in 1991 and remained in the market until 1996, lasting just 5 years. Philips intended the CDI to be more than a gaming console. It could play music CDs, educational titles, interactive encyclopedias, and even full-motion video, which was cutting-edge technology at the time.
Gamer Pro Tip: like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and see you don't miss out.